Esta noche con nosotros, con nuestras instrucciones, hablará sobre el antecedente del proyecto. Luego Brian hablará sobre el diseño del proyecto y algunas de nuestras opciones abiertas. Keira nos llevará sobre el número de preguntas para aprender más sobre los diseños. Empezando al principio del año 2010, residentes presentaron una visión del arroyo de Escondido como un parque lineal, creando dos importantes documentos de planificación, revelando el plan de arroyo de Escondido y el plan maestro de Escondido Creek Trail. Han surgido dos prioridades para completar el eslabón perdido del carril de bicicletas entre la Broadway y la calle Center City y para crear las cruces de calles seguras a lo largo del Creek Trail. Como los fondos han sido disponibles, estas mejoras eran priorizadas. El eslabón perdido del carril de bicicletas fue completado en 2019 usando una beca de Sandag y están trabajando en las cruces de calles como resultados de recibir 2 becas del Estado de Proyectos de Transportación. La ciudad también ha promovido otros proyectos a lo largo del arroyo. El mural de la plaza del arroyo y el parque adyacente al negocio de Evans Tire fue completado en el año 2014 entre una colaboración de la revelación de gente de Arroyo de Escondido y la conversación de Arroyo de Escondido. Una entrada nueva al Creek Trail en la calle Elm fue completada en el 2015 en conjunto con Habitat for Humanity usando fondos adicionales del CDBG. El programa de adoptar un arroyo fue establecido en el 2017 por el Escondido Education Compact, siguiendo la beca Opening the Outdoors por medio de la Fundación de San Diego. Por medio de este programa, miembros de la comunidad pueden ayudar en mantener una sección del Creek Trail limpia y haber recomendado otros proyectos pequeños. Subvención financiada 8.5 millones de la proposición 68 del Departamento de Parques y Recreación de California. El proyecto presente, la fecha límite para la finalización de la construcción de la subvención será marzo del 2024. Los objetivos del proyecto será para aumentar el acceso a zonas verdes y ampliar los espacios del parque. También podrá brindar oportunidades de transporte recreativo y activo para atraer tanta actividad positiva al área como sea posible. También el objetivo del proyecto es aumentar el acceso a zonas verdes y ampliar los espacios del parque, brindar oportunidades de transporte recreativo y activo para atraer tanta actividad positiva al área como sea posible. El objetivo del proyecto es proporcionar consistencia en el aspecto y la marca del corredor del arroyo y involucrar a la comunidad de asociaciones locales con Compact Tech, Neighborhood Healthcare, Urban Core, Adopt a Creek, propietarios de negocios, artistas, voluntarios y escuelas. Este es el calendario donde se da a cabo la información de las reuniones de los interesados. Hoy va a ser el taller comunitario. En marzo va a ser el siguiente taller comunitario. En marzo 2021, al otoño 2021 es cuando serán las actualizaciones del ayuntamiento, y en enero 2022 a octubre 2022 será la construcción, y es cuando empezará la construcción. El que está hablando ahorita es el señor Brian Hannigan, y él va a estar hablando sobre este proyecto. Actualmente, el Escondido Creek Trail corre aproximadamente 6 millas entre Harmony Grove a el Norte Parkway. El propósito será para mejorar entre Broadway y Rose. Ahí va a ser donde la mayoría de la construcción se llevará a cabo. Estas son fotos del actual sendero, empezando del oeste a la locación del puente citricado, siguiendo hacia el este. Aquí están fotos de las condiciones actuales de la calle Broadway Este a la Rose. Allí estará la nueva entrada de Washington Park. También van a haber 6 nuevas cruces de patión de calle. También serán construidas debajo de otro proyecto diferente en la Juniper, Hickory, Big, Harding, Rose y la calle Midway. Allí es donde habrá cruces de peatón de la calle. Estas son más fotos de actuales condiciones del resto del corredor del sendero de la calle Broadway a la Viven. Este alcance del proyecto tendrá letreros de entrada. Estos son los resultados de la subvención 2019. Estos son los resultados de la solicitud de becas del 2019, mostrando los elementos más populares deseados para el mejoramiento del sendero. Lo que estamos viendo aquí son los mejoramientos propuestos para el sendero de granito descompuesto. Este sendero será una nueva característica que empezará en el lado norte del arroyo, en el puente de la calle Date Este a la Medway, más de 2 millas. Incluye un sendero de 8 pies de ancho de granito descompuesto, áreas para sentarse, estaciones de ejercicio, árboles y paisajes, reforzar la cerca y nueva iluminación. En áreas más anchas del corredor, jardines pequeños y áreas interpretativas con paisajes serán agregadas adyacente al sendero principal. Estas son áreas que también donde va a haber mejoramientos. Sería la ruta de los múltiples existentes, zonas de descanso con contenedores de basura, estaciones de llenada de botellas de agua, paisajes tolerantes a la sequía o jardines cercado mejor y iluminación. Estas son oportunidades para el arte y aquí podemos identificar oportunidades de arte en el futuro a lo largo del canal, trabajando con dueños de negocios adyacentes para buscar arte de pared o murales. Estos son algunos mejoramientos que se llevarán a cabo. E indica el tipo de cerca de lo que se agregaría en esta área. Habrá diferentes opciones para cerca de metal. Este es un ejemplo de las cercas artísticas. Esto incluye algunos diseños enseñados de los mejoramientos. Esto es entre la Elm y Beach. Incluye estaciones de ejercicio con áreas más anchas, también pequeños senderos entre jardines, nuevos paisajes entre el corredor, nueva iluminación donde no hay, refugios de sombra y áreas de sentar, áreas naturales para jugar, estaciones de agua y oportunidades de arte. Este segmento está entre la Ash y Harding, estaciones de ejercicio en áreas más anchas, también pequeños senderos entre jardines, nuevas áreas de paisaje a lo largo del corredor, iluminación nueva donde no hay, refugios de sombra y áreas para sentarse, áreas naturales para jugar, estaciones de agua y oportunidades de arte. Aquí en esta área también hay una propuesta para mejorar esta área. Allí es donde se podrá poner el sombra y también poder hacer ejercicio al aire libre. Esto enseña algunas de las áreas de ejercicio que están siendo consideradas a lo largo del camino. Esto le dará a las personas de todas edades y habilidades una oportunidad para caminar o andar en el sendero y tener estaciones adicionales de ejercicio a lo largo del sendero. Aquí hay más ejemplos de las variedades de estaciones de ejercicio y juegos al aire libre. El corredor del sendero incluirá áreas de sentar y estaciones para descansar y poder disfrutar la experiencia del sendero. Áreas de sombra también estarán disponibles. Estos son algunos ejemplos de letreros de entradas. Abajo a la derecha está el letrero nuevo del Escondido Creek Trail. Más entradas serán agregadas al corredor, además de los letreros de entrada y marcas de signos. Los letreros serán una manera de juntar las orillas del sendero. Aquí pueden ver una variedad de árboles que serán plantados a lo largo del corredor para embellecer y dar sombra a lo largo del arroyo. Los árboles empezarán pequeños, pero con el tiempo, después de 5 o 6 años, ya crecerán y pueden dar más sombra. Llegamos al fin de la presentación y ahora vamos a tomar una encuesta. Esto les puede mostrar la encuesta que van a tomar a cabo. Las dos maneras para poder completar esta encuesta va a ser de unirse a través de su teléfono inteligente, abriendo la aplicación de su cámara y escaneando el código QR de la encuesta. Únase a través del navegador web ingresando al slido.com y escribiendo el código de acceso del evento #7527. Hay dos maneras para poder tomar la encuesta, por medio del teléfono o por medio de su computadora. Escoja el correcto. Le vamos a dar tiempo para poder escoger. Pueden participar todos los familiares de su casa, usando otro tipo de aparato electrónico. Esta es una demostración de cómo se va a ver. Si sigues iniciando sesión, he aquí cómo unirse. Únase a través del navegador web ingresando a slido.com y escribiendo el código de acceso del evento #7527. Únase a través de su teléfono inteligente abriendo la aplicación de su cámara y escaneando el código QR en la encuesta. Haga clic para enviar la respuesta. Aquí uno va a poder ver cuántos participantes respondieron y ver el porcentaje de votos de respuesta. Haga clic para editar la respuesta. Si es que oprimió el botón equivocado. Aquí Aquí va a haber las preguntas y respuestas. Levante su mano por Zoom por si tiene una pregunta o comentario. Ahorita deben de estar viendo mi pantalla donde dice slido.com. Pueden empezar la encuesta ahorita. Este es un ejemplo de lo que van a estar de lo que van a estar viendo en su pantalla. Este solamente es un ejemplo. ¿Qué creen que inspiró el nombre de la ciudad de Escondido? Pueden ver que hay 5 personas que ya respondieron. Participó en la participación comunitaria anterior para la solicitud de subvención en la primavera del 2019. Aquí podemos ver quién es nuevo al proyecto y quién ha participado anteriormente. Recuerde que aquí puede entrar a nuestra conversación por medio de slido.com, hashtag 7527 o escanear el código con su teléfono. Y quisiéramos saber si usted vive o trabaja a poca distancia del sendero. ¿Cómo es que usted accede al sendero ahora? Puede contestar esta pregunta ahora. Y cuando sí está usando el sendero, ¿cómo es que usa el sendero? Quisiéramos saber cuáles servicios de subvención le entusiasman más. Si algo debe salir debido a restricciones presupuestarias, ¿con qué servicio podría vivir? ¿Y con qué servicio podría vivir sin? Perdón. Como podemos ver, las estaciones de reparación de bicicletas es el menos deseado o importante en este caso. ¿Qué tipo de equipo de entrenamiento preferiría? Seleccione todas las que corresponden. La mayoría de gente prefiere el ejercicio de fuerza y también ejercicio de equilibrio. Estos son ejemplos de equipo y quisiéramos saber qué tipo de ejercicio aeróbico prefiere. Quisiéramos que escogiera en la siguiente pantalla su favorito. Estos solo son ejemplos. Parece que las barras ahorita es lo que seleccionaron más. De esto también quisiéramos saber cuál es su favorito de los tres. Y de nuevo podemos ver que las barras es el que tiene más porcentaje y más votos. ¿Qué equipo prefiere para la fuerza de la parte superior del cuerpo? Seleccione todas las que le corresponden. De estos, ¿cuál es su favorito? Por favor, seleccione su favorito. Esos son solamente ejemplos, no exactamente lo que se estará usando. Solamente les da una idea del equipo. El favorito parece ser que es empujar y jalar. ¿Qué equipo prefiere para la fuerza de la parte inferior del cuerpo? Seleccione todas las que correspondan. Aquí puede ver los resultados de la encuesta. De estos dos que acabamos de compartir, ¿cuál es su favorito? En la pantalla puede ver los resultados. ¿Qué equipo prefiere para core? Seleccione todas las que correspondan. la pantalla puede ver los resultados. De estos, ¿cuál es su favorito? En la pantalla pueden ver el resultado de esta pregunta. ¿Qué equipo prefiere para el equilibrio? Seleccione todas las que correspondan. Si tuvo dificultades en entrar en la encuesta, siempre pueden tomar la encuesta después. También pueden obtener la encuesta en persona en el Palacio Municipal de Escondido de lunes a viernes de 8 a 3 en el mostrador de servicios comunitarios. De estos, ¿cuál es su favorito? En la pantalla pueden ver el resultado. ¿Qué equipo prefiere para su flexibilidad? Seleccione todas las que correspondan. En la pantalla pueden ver los resultados. Aquí pueden poner su respuesta, que tal vez nosotros no le dimos la opción. ¿Cuál es tu equipo de fitness favorito que quizás nos hayamos perdido? Por favor, incluya su respuesta aquí en este momento. Podemos ver uno de los comentarios. Daremos algunos momentos más para ver si alguien tiene algo que comentar. También va a haber equipo de fitness para niños. Por favor, escojan cuál es su favorito de estos. En la pantalla pueden ver los resultados. Esta encuesta está a punto de terminar. Sí estamos planeando para tener equipo para niños y quisiéramos saber si ustedes apoyan. Como podemos ver, el resultado parece que apoyan que también podamos incluir equipo para los niños. Acabamos de terminar la encuesta. Se lo pasaremos ahora a Brian, por si tienen preguntas. Aquí hay la manera de levantar su mano por Zoom, por si tiene preguntas o comentarios. Va a hacer clic aquí para levantar la mano. Vean el icono aquí para poder levantar su mano.
All right, we should all be in the same room, so I'll hand it back off to you, Brian.
Okay. So we're waiting for questions to come through.
Estamos esperando a ver si alguien tiene una pregunta.
Is that a question for me?
It looks like Patricia has a question. So we're going to ask.
Parece que
We're gonna ask you
Patricia
to
tiene una
unmute.
pregunta.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was really pleased. Are the questions about more than the fitness stations, or is it about the whole thing?
The whole project,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. I was very pleased to see a lot of these features that you've worked on to prepare realistic slides for us to view. It was really impressive. I very much like the slides that indicate the extent of landscaping, and trees and shade that there will be, and benches, and I very much like that. And the other thing I wanted to inform you of is at an earlier workshop, not the main one that you had the year, like an entire year ago, but there was a smaller workshop that was like a
Stakeholders.
in between. And I had some questions about, I was disappointed at an interim stage that there didn't appear to be a lot of an indication that, features had been built into the plan to adopt, things like that I personally, are very interested in for passive enjoyment of the trail, like to have shade structures, because I'm an advocate, I'm active on the climate action plan, and just knowing in the projections, like already Escondido is so hot in the summertime, and in the future it's just going to be brutal. So I'm very interested in trying to build in features in this plan with the $68 million or Prop 68 funds, to build in features like that for shade structures, for passive enjoyment, and human health, and comfort. So I was very pleased to see that was reflected in your presentation today. And between the two, you had one slide that showed two options of shade canopies, and I have a strong preference for the first one that had a curved roof and the Y-shaped support structures. Two of those. Yeah, I really like that first one. The second one is just ugly. So and my other comment is on the shade, on the tree palette slide. I don't know if it's possible to zoom to that one. Yeah, most of those I think are ornamental trees, and I think there was a big interest expressed at one of your earlier workshops to, I know that these were all chosen from the city's approved landscape list, and I understand that, but there's an extensive interest from the environmental community to have the creek trail introduce native species. And I would like to see, say for instance, oaks, sycamores, Engelmann oaks in Escondido. This is be a prime opportunity to, as an urban forest area, build, sort of combine this with the comments that have already been introduced with the climate action plan. They have a really active advocate community with experts who are specialized in landscape, like from the Escondido Creek community. And, to me, I think that the species that are shown here are less desirable from an ecological standpoint. So thank you.
Thank you for that. It's very informative. Super good to hear that. Thank you so much. I think just to address the shade, the trees, we're still working with the city on those species, and we were talking about that, especially on the west end where we have the more native setting of landscape. On the shade structures, we're going to try to be strategic about where those are. The really good thing about this corridor, first of all, you already have a trail and a system that's really established. And in it, you have all the street crossings, so it segments it in pretty evenly spaced way. And so that'll make it easy for us to look at where shelters can go and kind of creating a punctuation or repetition of where we can put shade structures. And then the trees, again, where we don't have utilities and where there's space to do it, we're going to add those trees for shade and all the enjoyments that you had mentioned.
Great. At an earlier workshop, you had indicated that you have more space and width to add trees on the northern side, but I'm just hoping that on the south side of the trail, the paved trail, that it's realistic for people like me or people who are interested in your project to have the expectation that there will be a continuous tree planting along the south side of the paved trail, like
Yes.
like you've shown on that one of those early slides where you have a sort of a rendering of the, yeah.
Either one of these.
So yeah, that one. So I'm hoping that that's a realistic expectation of something that we can expect will be a continuous treatment along the.
Yes, we'll be placing trees where we have both the space, the distance from the path, and like I said, we have to really look at the utilities that are out there, because we have to be careful of planting too close to those.
Understood.
Yeah, so there might be this look of sort of massings going on, like where we have a grouping here, and then there's a space, and then another grouping. What I want to avoid just is the sort of evenly spaced, one here, one here, one here, one here.
Yeah.
We want to really kind of create like groves of trees, and there might be space in between another grove, and it kind of coincides with your comment about the shade structure. So we'll do like these groves, and then there might be a little space, and then there'd be a shade structure, and then some groves. But we'll just have to be very strategic, because we're kind of dancing between other facilities that are out there, but we definitely want to take a look at that.
Thank you.
I just want to reemphasize too, we're going to deal with these 15-gallon trees right off the.
Yeah,
right
I understand that.
And so that'll look a little funny at first. It'll be these small trees, but they'll start taking off as you grow.
They'll grow fast. They'll be irrigated.
Right, that's correct. Yes.
Brian, it looks like we have a question from the chat. Can you discuss trail security, cameras, patrolling, and controlling homeless hangouts?
Yes, I'll address that, and probably Karen can fill in a little bit too on some of the security parts. But the city put in the new lights. I think it was 2014, and we're going to extend the lighting on the project. And when they did that project, they wired. They did the wiring for cameras, so that's already planned. And we're going to do the same for the new lights. We'll wire them so they'll have future ability to add cameras. But cameras are we're not really planning those at this very moment. I think that's going to take some more discussion within the city and how they do that, and when they do that, and where they do that. And if Karen wants to add anything to that.
Actually, can I?
Get them mute. Yeah, or done.
Always do that. We also recognize that we will need some additional rangers along there to do some of that patrolling, because as always, it's that live person that very frequently discourages bad behavior and encourages good behavior. So we're looking at that, and some of the things that may not be cameras, but maybe counters, so that we know what activity is going on when, which will help us to plan activities. It'll help us to figure out kind of how everything is being used without that personal identifying, so that we can make the world better for everybody.
And I just wanted to add, my name's Danielle Lopez. I'm the Assistant Director of Community Services. That we're being very strategic in the amenities that we're placing out there, so to not cause, areas that people undesirable activity would want to, occur and happen. So we're thinking about that with the benches that we're putting out there, with the fitness equipment that we're putting out there. So hopefully that will deter some activity as well. It won't be a very welcome area for that type activity.
I just want to add one more thing about too is just we work on trails all over the state, and the more people on the path, the more activity and the more people are using the trail, that almost becomes your policing too, that less desirable activities happen when there's more people using the pathway. So that's encouraging the new trail system and the other activities that we're going to put on the path will hopefully increase more use from the community. Any other questions or chats going on that we can answer, or? Tyler raised his.
Tyler.
Hi there. I just wanted to comment a little bit more on the landscaping as well, because I do share the same interest in kind of continuing some more natural or natives, California natives along the creek trail. But there is something to be said for some of the drama that some of those ornamentals that can provide, especially to the entryways of a park. If you've ever seen, a grove of ginkgo planted during the fall, it's just this amazing experience that we don't really get here in Southern California, where it's this golden color. So it could be a really dramatic entrance to select locations if we, really think strategically about where those ornamentals are planted along the creek trail. Everything else I'm in full support of. And as I had voted before, I think if anything stands to be left out of the picture due to budgetary reasons, I think the fitness court aspects could be probably one of those, since those might be beyond the fencing, some of the more capital heavy. And especially with the city of Escondido already committing to 5 fitness courts located within parks in Escondido, I think the money could be spent better with other amenities along the trail. So I just wanted to lend my input. Love the murals too. I love how you incorporated that Charlie Harper birding mural along that building there. It was very inspirational, and like to see that come to fruition too. So.
All right, that's great. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the input on that. And yeah, there is the ability to maybe, if the fitness equipment is, teetering on being implemented or not, maybe it's just spaced out differently and or less of them, and you can certainly look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia was raising her hand physically, but she's on mute, so we can't hear her.
I'm sorry. There you go, Patricia. I agree with Tyler's comment about if the in the later phase of your planning, you encounter issues where money. There's choices about where to spend the money. I agree that I think that the fitness stations, it seems like the current plan has along the entire length of the Escondido Creek Trail has proposed, fitness stations at so many locations that I expect it would be a very large expense. And I think I agree with Tyler that I think the money could possibly be spent in a more in a way that could be enjoyed by more people in the long run, especially in the future with more extreme climate conditions. I think that the money could be spent in ways that could be enjoyed more by shade structures, enhancements with landscaping, and other ways to allow people to enjoy the space. Thank you.
Thanks, Patricia. Anyone else out there that has a question or comments? Please feel free to raise your hand. You can do that with, again, with your little hand raiser, or you can physically wave your hands in the camera. We'll do our best to get to you.
All right, if there's no more final comments, Brian, if you want to, oh, we got one. You got to unmute again.
I'm going to just get back to the path. Sorry about that.
Patricia, you're still muted.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I was just curious. So this is a question instead of a comment. Since you've been so active in, doing public outreach and contacts with property owners along the creek, I was just curious if the reactions you've gotten so far are pretty positive from, like the apartments, and the commercial properties that are adjacent to the creek. I'm hoping that, they're encouraged by, the opportunities that this, plan presents.
Oh,
I can go ahead, Brian. Were you going to say something?
I was going to just say that the stakeholder meetings that we had, there was an overwhelmingly number of folks that were just excited about it and looking forward to see the enhancements of it. And I think, as you brought up, some of this security was, a concern, but for the most part, it's pretty positive input, and I'll let Danielle add to that.
I was actually just going to echo that same thing, that I've only, heard mostly positive responses. Security has always comes up, but I think it will, and until we get people out there on that trail and we make the experience something different, then we'll change people's minds. We'll get there.
I would just add one more thing is already having a trail. It's not like there's a trail isn't it there and we're going to put one in, but it's already being used. So by enhancing it and seeing an increase in use will be beneficial for a lot of the businesses along there, because people can go and get to the restaurants or go shopping, or end up kind of using the trail a little more as a pedestrian corridor. And since we've been all experiencing what we have this year, it's probably going to become a new sort of habit of just being healthy and getting out and being outdoors more. We're probably appreciating it more than ever before. So.
And we'll continue to engage those businesses that are along the trail and hopefully find ways where they can turn their businesses in. There's quite a few that may be able to benefit from utilizing that space and having that as a transportation corridor for people to get to and from their businesses. So we'll continue to work with those businesses and see how we can promote that.
Looks like there was a question in the chat asking, are there any restrooms along the trail?
There are no new restrooms planned, but I mean, there are locations along the trail. So there's restrooms in Grape Day Park, there's restrooms at Washington Park. Obviously, if you get off the trail at any, there's restrooms at businesses, but no new restrooms planned for the trail.
Let's see.
Para el público que habla español en este momento, ¿alguien tiene una pregunta?
Anna, did we have a question from someone on the other?
No, I was just asking if anybody
Okay.
did have a question, but I don't believe so.
Okay. Oh, one more. Trisha, you have to unmute.
There you go. Okay. Let's see. I had a idea, and it might fit. This would probably be something that Karen, you would be able to answer, because it sort of relates to things that you're exploring with the East Valley Parkway plan, specific plan. One of the ideas that was discussed with at a meeting that I had with some of the people I know, was the idea that there may be opportunities for increased density, maybe on some of the, residential, multifamily residentially zoned properties. And, if we thought that it might be a good idea to entertain the possibility or leave room for an option where, when these properties adjacent to the creek are redeveloped, in the future, that, they could possibly, have incentives to be eligible for density increases if they integrate features or reorient, the new multifamily dwellings towards the creek, in a way that, maximizes the
so there is sorry.
Exposure. Yeah.
There are definitely some areas where we do that. We had a senior project that was adjacent to the creek, and that was one of the things that they did look at in terms of the design of the project, was how was it addressing the creek?
Yeah.
And that was entitled with some expectation that they would be doing some improvements kind of right along the creek in that area.
That was
is definitely something that's in people's on people's radars.
That's a really good idea, and it gives incentives to those property owners, to maximize their density. The project you're talking about, is that the Juniper senior project?
No, that was a senior project on
Elm,
right across from the transit station.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It has received entitlements, but it has not yet started redevelopment of that location.
I see.
Okay, any other questions, or anybody have any more comments? We could probably wrap it up. I think this survey reminder is on the screen, right? We just want to remind people they can still take the survey if they'd like until December 17th. Is that right?
Correct. So if you have anybody else, any friends or family in the community that may have missed it this evening, they can take it online. That'll be posted on the city website, which is going to be on the next slide. It's the webpage dedicated specifically to this project, where you can stay up to date and check back in the future. And then, as we mentioned before, there's the option to pick up the physical hard copy survey. That's Mondays through Friday, 8 to 3 at City Hall.
Yeah.
And that'll be at the community services front counter. We just, go ahead.
Question. Will people that are not able to participate in your workshop tonight, will they be able to view the video? Will it be posted online, to view this entire, presentation that you've done and the questions?
Yes, correct. So the video will be posted on the city webpage. Likely it'll be tomorrow. So takes a little bit of time for the recording to save.
Okay.
And it'll be posted on the Escondido Creek Trail
Great.
webpage.
Super. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just another reminder of the schedule of the project. The next time we'll come to the public for an update will be sometime in March, and just come back and kind of share where we're at and how we're doing. And then city council updates in spring and fall through the construction document phase.
Wonderful. This is exciting.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think that ends our presentation. Thank you for participating. And for those that didn't get to make it, please go to the website and you can do the survey and check out the presentation and find out about the project as we go. We'll be updating the website as we continue.
Quisiéramos darles las gracias por participar en el diseño del Escondido Creek Trail. Si tuvieron dificultades técnicas, pueden todavía votar. Pueden obtener la encuesta físicamente aquí en el Palacio Municipal de lunes a viernes 8 a 3 en el mostrador de servicios comunitarios. Recuerden que la encuesta se puede tomar hasta el 17 de diciembre. Ese es el último día para entregar las encuestas.
And that concludes our meeting for this evening. Thank you so much for joining, and we look forward to providing you an update in March.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Gracias por acompañarnos.